formal word of welcome. And I see the president of the business club is here. Present to you now.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I would just like to welcome you all to another speaker series. And tonight we have one of our very own teachers. So that's going to be very interesting. And I bet we'll learn a lot. So let's just start with a word of prayer and then let's get started. Dear God, thank you that we could all come to another speaker series, learn more about business, and to help us just further our careers and our knowledge. In your name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much. So my name is Lucius Michel. I'm the chair of the School of Business here at Birmingham University. And we have been working over the last few years on a series of initiatives. The business speaker series is one of them, and the Small Business Center, which has been receiving a good boost from business owner, business manager, and down here. And in the near future, we'll let you know and where we are, and that is on that. And we're receiving a huge boost from business here. What we're trying to do is to give to the students some experiential learning and some hands-on experience as they're learning on campus. At the same time, connect with the community to boost business activities here in Macomb, in Central Alberta. And the Small Business Center is sponsoring the Business Speaker Series. And today it's my pleasure to welcome to this Business Speaker Series Dr. Opoku, that I know for a few years now. He is a seasoned instructor, professor of business, and a very well successful marketing and strategy consultant in business in Central Alberta, very well known, participating in many activities and sitting on many boards and as well, and encouraging in many community type of activities such as marketing, case competition, or business case competition. Dr. Opoku is well known as he is a professor at Red Deer College, one of our sister institutions here in Central Alberta. So he is a business owner. He is a business professor, as I said before, and he's very well known, very successful man, and with a lot of business insights to share. And it is my pleasure to welcome him tonight to the Business Speaker Series. And I want to thank you all for here participating in this event. And I want to welcome Dr. Opoku. Please, I'm inviting you all and to welcome Dr. Opoku and share with us his business insight. And it's going to be a very interesting and interactive session. And Dr. Opoku, without any further ado, I welcome you to the speaker series, and the mic is yours now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Lucius Michel. I'm so humbled by your introduction. I wasn't expecting, those words coming from, my professional colleague, and I'm so humbled by the kind of profile you've given to me this evening. Today, in fact, I want to be here. And marketing is part of my DNA. I enjoy teaching it, and I enjoy doing it. So when I'm given any opportunity to speak to issues related to marketing, I grab those opportunities with both hands. And I would like to indicate that I'm also very proud to have some of my colleagues around and some of the good practitioners in this industry of ours. And we love our industry because it is the only industry where you begin or where you have the opportunity to experience what customers are going through and what human beings are going through. And it's unprecedented. There are few disciplines that you could get to interact with human beings. And marketing is about all of us. It's part of our lives. All the choices that we make have something to do with marketing. So we all live it, we all do it, and we all partake in marketing. So it's a good discipline, to interact with other folks all over the place. So I'm so grateful for making time this evening, everybody in here, to come and share some of these knowledge or this subject matter with us. Today, the subject is well cut out. We want to spend some time looking at how to deal with unprofitable customers. It is rather unfortunate that most of our textbooks are not doing a better job articulating this issue. And every entrepreneur, every business owner, every organization, be it small, large, will be faced with this reality. At a certain point in time, you want to have some of your customers go. I know it's a tough decision, but we have to, because not every customer will appear to be profitable. So today, I want to spend some time engaging a conversation around how to deal with unprofitable customers. I guess everyone in the room can hear me. If you can't, just let me know. We will try to work things out. But if not, these are the points for discussion this evening. I will attempt to look at who is an unprofitable customer. Of course, we are in academia, but I try as much as possible to break it down for some of us entrepreneurs, because I get it. I'm also an entrepreneur myself, and I feel it. I'm not going to be bombarding with all the theories and all those concepts that we learn, at school, but I want to break it down in making sure that you get the message at the end of the day. We also want to spend some time looking at the 4 categories of unprofitable customers. There are myriad of unprofitable customers. So we need to build a context around these folks so that we don't put all of them in one single box. And then I will share with you a package around the ABCs of unprofitable customer management. How do you manage these unprofitable customers? And I will propose some recommendations, and I will end the session with a conclusion. I hope you're going to enjoy the journey with me this evening. So, when we say an unprofitable customer, basically we are looking at customers who are unprofitable. These consumers who are unprofitable consume more of our business resources than they pay for. So you give in a lot, but they give you less back. That is how unprofitable customers can be looked at. And these customers also divert attention and resources from a business profitable customers. Because time is limited, we have 24 hours to deal with our customers. But if you have an unprofitable customer, they eat into our time, so they do not give us the opportunity to spend quality time with the customers who we appear to be profitable. So usually, these guys take in a lot. They take in a lot. They are vampires somehow. And we spend considerable amount of time meeting these customers, but they give us little. So that is the concept around, unprofitable customers. Any customer that is not giving that much, but taking in more of your resources in that particular case. But one thing I want to share with you is that every small business needs to understand where it adds value, and knowing where a customer is unprofitable is the first step. I know the amount of time an entrepreneur, as a business owner, the amount of time you spend on creating your business concept and bringing it to life. You don't want somebody who is very selfish trying to eat into your time, take as much as possible, but not giving something into the kitty. Sometimes we need to sit back, reflect on it, and then take some valuable decisions. I know these are tough decisions to make. It is not easy, but we have to bite the bullet at a certain point in time. Now, if you look at the COVID, the pandemic that we are facing right now, this is not a time as an entrepreneur, maybe start firing your customers all over the place. But I can assure you that this is the opportunity for you to reflect on the customer portfolio that you have, making sure that you understand all the nuances surrounding your customers, and then attempt to make some decisions when the pandemic is over. At a certain point in time, you have to make those decisions. But you don't want to be taking those decisions right now, because every business has been hit hard by the pandemic and the economic crisis that we are facing. So you cannot reflect on the true value of this customer at this particular point in time. So you better be careful trying to execute this kind of strategy at this point in time. Something I would like to bring home is that sometimes it is not the fault of these customers. Sometimes it is our own fault, because companies they have all sort of structures that have been put in place. These are impediments in the way of the consumer. So we need to attempt to break those silos. So if we are able to do our own internal arrangement very well, that is when you will see the big picture. But sometimes we are baffled with our own internal issues. We need to structure our own cost, eliminate some empires, and also cut down on all the bureaucracies that we have, so that we can really appreciate the value that our customers are bringing to the table. If you are not able to do that holistic exercise, you have no say to brand a customer as unprofitable, because you have your own problems. You have skeletons in the cupboard. And sometimes our eCRM applications and some of the analytical reports that we have these days, business intelligence is key, may reveal that there is a problem, but that might point to the wrong solutions. For example, your CRM, customer relationship management, a system that you have might indicate that you have to upsell to this customer. What do you mean by upsell? This customer is doing business with you, but you want this customer to buy maybe another version of the product. Take this customer to the next level, but this customer is not up to it. He or she is comfortable with whatever product that you are selling to him or her right now. So the moment your CRM system tells you to initiate that move, you might get it wrong. The customer will start to complain and then create some problems, and you think this customer is unprofitable. So you better be careful with some of these applications that you have, some of these analytical reports that they will generate, because they might throw in some bad signals. So basically, when you say a customer is unprofitable, it means this customer is hitting our bottom line, basically. So we spend considerable amount of time supporting this customer after sales, and they don't bring in a lot. But remember, all accounts are not equal and even at the same price. So some customers might even be just loss leaders. You don't expect them to generate the monies or the profits that you are thinking about, but they will serve as a bait to attract other customers to come in. So anytime you make a move to fire customers, you want to sit back and figure out and say, hey, who is this customer? Although he's not bringing in that much, he is a good ambassador for my company. So whatever it is, although I have to spend some time on this customer can help us to generate certain revenue that you've not even thought about. So whenever you are thinking of making that move, you need to be very strategic. So what are some of the types of unprofitable customers? The first one I want to talk about is customers who are not profitable because the company has not sold them enough. So sometimes, once again, it's our problem. Customers don't know the kind of products that we offer or the services that we offer. We've not made that attempt to let these customers know that that is the package, the portfolio that is available, to them. For example, in a bank, a customer may have a single low balance checking account with us, but they may have their deposit account with a certain bank. They have their loan with a certain bank or their investment with another bank. So maybe you'll be seeing their balance with regards to their checking accounts, but they have other deposits somewhere that you marvel when you get to see it. So it doesn't mean this customer is not profitable, but you are not doing a good job in making sure that you reveal all the packages that you have for this customer to consider. This means that the customer does not lack the potential, but the bank somehow has not been able to give whatever value proposition that they have so that they can take a bigger chunk of the share of this customer's wallet. The second customer we want to talk about is customers that the company has not priced effectively. So there are customers that we've not priced effectively to them. So companies often lack the specific systems and capabilities to charge, and more especially when you're dealing with startups and small companies. They've never been able to do their math very well, right? Their cost of production and all those things that they have to calculate in making sure that they have their margins on it. If you get those calculations wrong, it appears the customer is not profitable, but you are not pricing the customer very well. So we need to sit back, do our homework in making sure that we understand the pieces that go into our pricing system. Perhaps we might be getting it wrong. And the third customer we want to talk about, or the third customers we want to talk about, are customers that are unwilling to pay more. So when the company tries to price them out, price them more effectively, they refuse to budge. Because companies will have to figure out how to deliver less to these customers. So every customer should be looked at differently. Sometimes they don't need the products that you want to sell to them. And that's why you see, perhaps that's why you start complaining. Maybe they are okay with whatever they are taking from you. So in the case of customers, who call in daily to check their balance, you want to make sure that you move them electronically in making sure that at least when they are checking their bank accounts online, you will not spend quality time trying to pick up their calls. So we need to look at how to deal with each of these customers differently so that we understand the big picture. The fourth customer I want to discuss with you, is the customer, who is hard to make money on because they are price sensitive and they cannot be relied on. They are not very loyal. So every time someone comes in with a better package, these customers will just move to that company or to that organization. So those customers have less business to do with you, and they are not loyal. And sometimes they will be very hard to maintain. But note that is not impossible, but sometimes it's going to be very hard to maintain those kind of customers. And we get to see customers like that in economic situations like what we are experiencing. People are looking for deals. People are looking for offers. People are looking for discounts. So you don't expect people to stay with you at this particular point in time. So we are in unprecedented times. So this is not a time for you to start thinking of firing customers because issues have changed. The dynamics have changed. So you better make sure that when things settle, look at the numbers and then figure out how to make that tough decision going forward. So let me share with you how to manage these unprofitable customers. So when you come out with a decision that this customer is no more profitable, how do you deal with them? I have outlined six steps, regarding how to deal with these type of customers. The first one is to avoid the acquisition of these customers in the first place. So that is your best bet. That is the easiest way out of this situation. And I know it's tough, especially for small businesses. When you start, you are looking for customers all over the place. But that is also an opportunity for you to reflect on the customers that you are dealing with, especially at the early stage of your business. because not all these customers are going to be profitable. The way they deal with you, the way they talk or they discuss things with you, the way they come back and forth, asking those questions, these are signals that this customer will create problems somewhere down the road. So we better be very careful when we are in our startup stage, because at that particular point in time, we will be tempted to bring in any customer. But that is where we also have to be very strategic. And those customers will throw in signals at the early stages, and you need to observe those signals because they're going to create problems somewhere down the road. The second issue is to bear in mind some of the potential rescue operations. If you have them already, how do you get them out? And then the third element is to catch the possibility of abandonment. We will talk about each of these, steps. And then you have to draw up cost-benefit analysis. And then you also have to ensure the familiarity with your environment. And if things become so worse, facilitate biting the bullet. So let's start talking about each of these, steps. So the first point, or the first unprofitable customer management strategy, is to avoid acquiring them at the first place. So obviously that's the best way to deal with unprofitable customers. So some companies have managed to modify their product or a service offering that will discourage purchase by customers who are likely to be unprofitable. So if you look at Netflix, for example, they have a flat fee, right? So you come in and the customers are the same. That's what you see is what you get, right? So there are no hidden fees, nothing, bare bones. So when you design your product, that way, customers will know exactly what they are coming in for. And it will help forestall some of these things that we are talking about. And some industries rely increasingly on geo-demographic segmentation. So before you step foot into acquiring certain customers, you want to make sure that you know exactly what you are doing with those customers. For example, Walmart or Loblaw, whenever they are coming to town, they size up the place, they look at the trading area and see whether this is a good place for them before they set up their enterprise. So if you want to create a new branch somewhere, you need to understand the dynamics of the place so that you know exactly the kind of customers that you're going to be attracting, so you will not be faced with this challenge somewhere down the road. The second step is to look at some of the rescue operations. How do you deal with these kind of customers when you have them anyway? Sometimes selective customer acquisition might not be that possible. So to pick and choose, especially if you are a startup and you are not even sure how you're going to be pivoting or how you're going to settle when it comes to your target market, because you're still trying to figure things out for your company. So sometimes it's very, very tough for you to select some customers and deal with them. And even if you are in a good position to select few customers, no one can ensure you that those customers, though you think they are good today, might remain same 10 years down the road. So how do you deal with those kind of customers? So some types of existing customers can potentially be transformed into profitable ones. Once again, sometimes they don't know the kind of packages that we are offering. So we need to be doing our education, doing our training, making sure that the customers get to understand, the portfolio, product or service portfolio that we are offering. Because it's always very, very, very difficult for you to acquire a new customer. So your best bet is to work on the existing ones, other than taking that leap of faith to go for a new customer, because you spend a lot to recruit a new customer. And for you to make this customer profitable, you need to look at the customer lifetime value. Work those things for you to understand how this customer can stay with you, for you to recoup that investment you put in. An unprofitable customer today may become a very profitable client tomorrow. And that's why the banks are all over our students, because they know that they have the potential. So although you are maintaining zero account in your bank account, they still want to do business with you, because somewhere down the road, you might be profitable, right? So in other cases, sometimes the company is offering what the company is offering simply might not be adapted to the needs of the customer. So it's not the customer's problem, it is your problem. You are not working out to adapt your products to the needs of the customers that you are selling to. Sometimes you also have to be very nimble. You need to be very flexible to adapt. Right. So for example, if you look at the no-frills kind of airlines that fly from point A to point B, that kind of market position will not enthuse Air Canada, for example. So when those clients, those customers who are just looking to fly from point A to point B, Air Canada can't satisfy them. So they have to be a new company that might come in to satisfy those group of customers. So that's what the customer is looking for. You are not adapting to the needs of this customer. So it's your problem in that particular case. The third step is to catch the possibility of abandonment. When there are signs that the customer want to leave you, take advantage of it. So it's more like the dissolution of personal relationship. If this person is always this person's nuts, always creating problems for you, you want to find a way to dispose of this customer. So companies have at their disposal different strategies to pursue at a certain point in time. The first strategy is what we call escalation. So here we try as much as possible to jack up the price a little bit of the services that we offer, right? And then the customers who are thinking of leaving will leave naturally. Those who truly like to do business with you will stay. And sometimes when you call your bank, you will be staying on the phone line for a particular point in time, for a long time. The customer might have recognized that you are not that profitable. So you're going to be on the line for some time and you just have to abandon the call. It's all about the escalation strategy. Sometimes another strategy we can adopt is what we call withdrawal. So we can reduce the intimacy of the customer relationship. So if you have been talking to this customer 3 times a week, maybe you want to make it once a week. So gradually you withdraw and the customer will have to think about what to do next. Or you can look at the state of the art relationship talk. And sometimes that is very important for us to sit down with the customer, explaining the reasons why this customer is not profitable. Sometimes the customer does not know that he's not profitable. So sit down with him, have that truthful conversation, lay things out, and try to convince this business partner to change his or her behavior. And once again, sometimes they don't know. You have to help them out. So the company has been calling, right, because they don't have support system in their own backyard, in their own company. And that's what they've been calling you all the time. When you have that kind of conversation, you can help train some people to take care of this customer. And this customer at the end of the day ultimately will reduce those calls that are coming through. So sometimes they need education, they need support, other than just firing them over the place. The fourth step is to draw your cost-benefit analysis. So there are many critical situations that call for abandonment of unprofitable customers. But think about the following. Look at the consequences of the negative word of mouth and the indirect abandonment cost. That is something that we need to think about, because the customers will be taking the conversation over the place. And these days with social media, you're going to be trending. So you better be careful whenever you are taking that decision to fire your customer, because one bad note can create problems for you. So when an unprofitable customer is fired, this person will feel dissatisfied, angry, betrayed, and will speak ill about your company. And this negative word of mouth may possibly impact the abandoning firm in certain ways. They could share this dissatisfaction with current customers, or they could spread the negative word of mouth among potential customers, influencing them not to join the focal company, but rather maybe move to join the competitors. So they can actually create lots of harm. That is the cost-benefit analysis that you need to undertake before you go in for that kind of move. The fifth step is to ensure familiarity with your environment. For example, there are some legal connotations if you fire customers. So for example, in Canada, every person has a legal right to own a current bank account, which limits the extent to which Canadian banks can implement selective customer acquisition. So you can't just fire a customer with current account with you, just that this customer is underperforming. If not, there are going to be lots of class actions, lawsuits against your company. And your competitors can also take advantage of whatever is happening to create problems for you. So if a rival firm can well become a new haven for cast off unprofitable customers. So this is something that you have to bear in mind. And sometimes it's going to be very, very difficult for you to invest some of the resources that you have, to embark on damage control or to manage that crisis. So we need to, once again, look at the cost-benefit analysis before we undertake this kind of enterprise. The last step is that when you're able to go through all these, the first 5 steps, and you still believe that abandoning your customer or firing your customer is the best strategy that you want to adopt, you want to go for it, right? But you want to make sure that it becomes a least painful experience for your customer. You want to make sure that this customer is not peeved. This customer leaves, honorably, so that you can continue with your business somewhere down the road. So what are some of the recommendations I want to give to business owners thinking of firing their unprofitable customers? The first point is that you need to be very explicit, because your customers have the right to know why you no longer want them as clients. So you need to have that hard conversation that we are all in business to make profit. But here you are, I'm spending too much on you, and I don't think we can continue to do that. So be honest in explaining the reasons for your decision. Lay everything bare on the table. Perhaps maybe the customer might have some good reasons as to why he or she is underperforming. Or maybe he has no clue about what is going on. So maybe he might pick up the slack, work on it, and improve upon his or her performance. Be very efficient. Think carefully about the number of clients you want to abandon. Negative publicity is negative publicity. If you fire one customer, that one customer can do lots of damage. So whenever you are thinking of firing customers, fire them en bloc. So it's better to do it in one fell swoop, other than firing one today and thinking of firing one the next week, because the damage control will create lots of problems for you. But after you've able to go through this firing process, establish clear rules outlining conditions under which a customer will be abandoned. So anytime you have a customer coming in, you have to show these conditions to this customer and all these guidelines so that they know exactly what they are coming in for. So when you start talking about unprofitable customer, they will know exactly what you're talking about, because earlier you've drawn their attention to it. The third recommendation I want to put across is that be direct. So needs of unprofitable customers affect your company to the same degree, whether you serve unprofitable customer accounts less well or not. So be open and apply a direct strategy rather than hope that these customers will leave the company one day. Don't wait and think that perhaps maybe these customers will leave voluntarily. That's not going to happen, because sometimes they don't even know what's happening. So you need to take that leap of faith, have that conversation, and perhaps things will change. Be open. Do not expect unprofitable customers, to stay with you, for that secret to be with you for quite some time. Communicate openly with the public rather than attempt to keep the information under wraps. So you have to be the first to even inform the public that this is exercise that is going on. So when the public gets to hear from the customers, this is not new information. You have already communicated it anyway, so they are not hearing anything new, right? So you are there to explain why this customer might be peeved in that case. So don't keep it under wraps. Make sure you open it up and then have that conversation around and fire them en bloc. That helps. Be personal. Instead of sending your fired customers a letter regarding the abandonment, contact them directly. Maybe pick up the phone and have that chat. These days, you can do online meetings. So don't just send, maybe the letter might end up somewhere, snail mail. They might not even receive that letter. Pick up the phone face to face, find a way to have a dialogue with your customer, and that helps. Give this customer a chance to, this gives you the chance to adapt your communication strategy to the reaction of the client to abandon. So deal with this client one by one, so that sometimes you get to understand why they are unprofitable. And it slows down the speed by which the general public will be informed about your new strategy. And be very clever. Pick and choose your words carefully. Stress that the money saved will be reinvested to improve service to the customers that you have. And this can limit the negative word of mouth spread by abandoned customers. So fine, we are spending too much on you. So we want to make sure that we're able to save, especially these times around, so that we can take care of the customers that we have right now. So in conclusion, companies must study the characteristics of unprofitable customers and then change their marketing behavior. If you get to know that some of these customers are coming in, you need to adapt. So always you need to be studying the terrain and making sure that you have all the environmental scanning to understand what is going on, so that you will not be taken by surprise by these customers. And remember that each new customer who turns out to be unprofitable customer destroys the shareholder value. If they start talking about you, the word of mouth, the negative press, that's going to impact your business outlook over the place. And stop using PR and marketing campaigns that cast wild nets. And that's one of the challenges. So if you have a campaign, marketing campaign, asking every customer to come in, at a certain point in time, it's very, very difficult for you to fire them. So stop sales that ring bells for winning every customer, and use the resources saved to strategically go after the look-alike of their profitable customers. So whatever resources that you have, make sure that you use them to go for the customers that will be profitable somewhere down the road. And then sometimes some of these customers might also be loss leaders, as I've earlier on alluded to. Maybe you want to stay with them because they will be serving as ambassadors for your business. And although they are not profitable, you'll be getting profit from the customers that they are likely to recruit in that particular case. So basically, we spend some time looking at who is an unprofitable customer. And we spend some time looking at the caveat that sometimes we need to conduct some soul searching because the problem might be coming from us. We spend some time looking at types of unprofitable customers. And then we look at also the 6 steps that we can use to manage unprofitable customers. So that brings me to the end of the conversation. And the floor is now open in case you have any questions, any comments, suggestions. You have that opportunity to share with the audience. Thank you very much for listening. Once again, I'm so glad to be here this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Opoku. Thank you very much. So as a disclaimer, I'm letting the audience know that this presentation is going to be available on YouTube, on our YouTube channel later on. So if you have a question, I'm asking you please to raise hands or to write your question on the chat. There's somebody, Mrs. Wilson is taking care of that for us. So either you write your question down or you raise hands so that we can see you and allow you to ask your questions. And once again, be aware of the fact that this presentation, this conference is going to be posted on our YouTube channel. So we're ready to take some questions. So Dr. Opoku, I have the first question would come from me. So you
Yeah.
talk about cost benefit analysis in terms of identifying the unprofitable customer. But I'm wondering, sometimes some businesses you get some unprofitable ones, and whether it would not be a wise move to analyze the cost of getting rid of them in regard to the damage they can cause to the business, either with the word of mouth or using social media, as you said, can damage us. At some point, would it be better to sustain some costs and keeping them, and or to let them go and face the damage they can do to us? That's my first question.
Thanks very much, Professor Michel. Yeah, dealing with unprofitable customers is no joke. You need to spend some time reflecting on this move. It's a strategy that no entrepreneur would like to engage because it's a tough decision to make. But something point in time, you need to bite the bullet. So if these customers, if you are able to conduct that cost benefit analysis, and then you figure out that no, these customers are not, they will not even serve as loss leaders, but they are just there, to cripple your business, not for your business to move to the next level. You need to have that hard conversation with these customers and let them go. You are not the only company that have done this. There are numerous companies. A very good example is Sprint of US. They fired their customers. It was a big thing, but of course they had to let them go. So sometimes it's tough, but you need to make that decision. And I'm not saying that is a joke. It's something that you can make lightly, but you have to. But you need to take into consideration all the 6 steps that you've enumerated before you come to the conclusion, the C stage, to fire a customer. Because sometimes we don't do our homework very well. And that's what will create problems for us. And most of the times, even when you have conversation with a customer, sometimes they do change because they don't know that they are not profitable. So that hard conversation is so important. Put them in the know. Lay the cards bare on the table that, folks, this is what is happening when it comes to our business dealings. Basically, we are reaping in nothing. What can we do? Throw to the customer, and they will come back with some suggestions. And you'll be surprised that they want to sustain that relationship, because it's also going to be a cost to them somewhere down the road, looking for a new partner to do business. Because one of the key things that we need to remember is that it is very expensive to recruit a customer. So when they are also looking for a new supplier or any business that they want to deal with, it's going to take them some efforts, amount of time, money, resources for them to recruit that new customer. So some of them are prepared to play ball. And that's where you can find the common grounds for you to move forward on the relationship.
All right, thank you. Let's go to the chat now to see written questions that may be there.
Yeah, so the first question is raising your prices a good way of discouraging certain customers to deal with you?
Yeah, if you ask me personally, it's one of the crudest ways to handle that piece. But some companies use it, especially when it comes to small businesses. It's one of the tools that small businesses use. It's an opportunity for you. Maybe what happens with small businesses is that sometimes they get the math wrong, right? Because it's a startup and they've not considered all the cost structures very well. At a certain point in time, when they sit down and look at the numbers, they figure out, maybe we are pricing wrongly. Let's look at the big picture. And that's why perhaps sometimes they try to raise their prices. But of course, anytime you raise your prices, it should connect with the level of service. So that should go hand in hand. Anytime you are thinking of, bringing your prices up, that should correspond with certain level of service. You don't just raise your price arbitrarily without customers seeing value in whatever they are going to get on top of it. So that could be a different strategy to move to a new pedestal so that the customers that can go with you might decide to drop by themselves naturally. And as I said, it's not one of the best approaches that I want to adopt, but most of the time, this is a strategy, a tool used by small businesses because they get their math wrong at the beginning.
Yeah.
It
Any other
sounds like,
questions? Okay,
Yeah.
go ahead, Jenny. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
it sounds like the business plan developed before you open the doors should have systems in place to minimize not profitable customers.
Very, very good point. Yeah, and this is very good. And that's why we are starting this conversation. In fact, this topic is not in our textbooks. We don't get to teach them in the business schools. And I teach business plan development. And when you look at any template regarding business plan development, there is nothing like that. So this issue has been relegated to the background, but it comes back to bite us. And that's why some of us have started that conversation, that we need to bring it up front, that this is an issue that we will be confronted with, and we need to start talking about it right now so that it can get into our textbooks and also into our business plans. And in fact, if you ask me, a very good place for this is, risk management and the mitigation aspect of your business plan, because this is the point, this is an area you want to address some of these issues. But most of the times, unfortunately, we don't talk about them. So the person who is asking the question, great idea. If you are thinking of developing a business plan, this is something I would like to see. If I have the opportunity to evaluate the plan, this is something I would like to see in business plans. And that's why Dr. Michel, and his team are trying to bring this issue to the table, because we have relegated, once again, it's something that belongs to the background. But it's critical for us to once again revisit it and then teach how to manage these customers, because that's a reality. We're going to face these customers as we develop our businesses. So it's a legitimate issue, it's genuine, but unfortunately, we have not been talking about it. And that's why Birmingham University, and more or less, the business school is starting this conversation.
Right, another question. Some of the customers can be not profitable at times, but profitable at others. How do you ensure you don't jump too fast to the idea of firing them?
So yeah, that is also a very good question. Thanks very much for asking this. Once again, this is a very difficult decision. And you don't just do this arbitrarily. And that's why some of us, I attempted to outline 6 steps. So after going through all these steps, then you want to be convinced that maybe this is not the customer that I want to be dealing with. But we need to remember that we need to fire slowly. That is very, very important. We don't take this decision arbitrarily. You want to take some time and making sure that, when you talk to employers, they want to fire very fast, but hire slowly. But when it comes to dealing with unprofitable customers, we need to fire slowly, because that might come back and bite us. Very, very, very important when it comes to this. So usually your best bet is to go through all this. You need to look at your odds. Look at all these steps. Look at the other side of things, the impact that will have on your business before you make that decision. And also we have to assess whether this customer could probably be a loss leader. When I say a loss leader, this is a customer that you are getting nothing out of, but they are serving as a bait to attract other customers. So this is also something that you need to look at. Although they are not profitable, but they are giving you business somehow. So to compensate whatever loss that you are getting or you are experiencing from these particular people. So if you ask me, once again, this is not an easy decision. Fire these customers slowly. You do your math and make sure, because sometimes you can't assess customer lifetime value when the customer does business with you for a year or 2. Look at somewhere down the road. what is going to be the impact of this customer on your business? So when you do all those, undertakings, and if you see that there is no end in sight, that is where you take that move. And I'll even advise that sit down with this customer first, have that hard, you need to have that hard conversation, and perhaps you might get some insights that might dissuade you not to pursue that kind of move going forward.
Thank you.
I hope I have answered the questioner.
Okay. I cannot see everybody, just in case if you raise hands, but I would have seen it anyway. It would have shown. But let me answer this question, Dr. Opoku. In what context is it easier to deal with unprofitable customer, B2B or B2C?
Most of the times, yeah, B2B is where the problem is where the problem is. Because when it comes to B2B, it's all about relationship. Because when it comes to B2C, relationship is not a big issue. I don't care about P&G. I just go there and grab whatever it is from Walmart. So although I want to be loyal to the brand, people don't care that much. But it's an issue when you talk about B2B, because you need to build the trust, and it takes a long time for you to build that relationship. So when you're thinking of firing these customers, that is also an opportunity for you to reflect on this relationship and the impact of it. And sometimes with businesses that are dealing, B2B, kind of realm, they might have few customers. And these customers are big accounts, right? So when you think of firing one, that might impact your bottom line. And that's why you need to think about these decisions going forward. So if you ask me where the issue is prevalent, we are talking about B2B more than B2C in that case.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So I see the hands of Mr. Durrett, and then after that, I see a question in the chat. Mr. Durrett first.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Opoku, for your great presentation on firing customers. It's a topic that we don't talk very often about or very openly about, but it's a reality, I think, of every small business. I have a question. You mentioned something about rather than firing customers, you could also reactivate them. Like, so people that haven't bought from you for a while, instead of, and they're unprofitable for that reason. What kind of strategies or tactics would you recommend for reactivating? And I'm asking this from a B2B kind of perspective.
Yeah. So when it comes to activating customers, these days we all know that there are lots of platforms, business intelligence platforms, and then so when it comes to the dashboard, most organizations have what you call a dashboard. So it tells them the customers that are coming in, that are going out, and those that are not coming for a considerable period of time. B2B relationship is, when we talk about B2B, business to business marketing, relationship is key. So if a customer is not coming in, because that relationship is there, you want to make sure that your dashboards and your intelligence will tell you that this customer is hanging in there for a considerable period of time. What is happening? And when it comes to B2B, personal selling is key. We all know. And when we talk about personal selling, it's about meeting face-to-face, meeting online, making sure we're having a conversation. And these days, we can have this conversation through electronic means. So it's always very important to touch base with your customers, getting to know what's happening in their lives. And you also have to leverage intelligence, scanning the environment, dealing with your suppliers, finding out what is happening when it comes to competition. So that scanning element, taking that recce, if you're in the military, that recce exercise is so important. So when a customer might have left you to join another competitor, that should indicate clearly through your intelligence. And then you need to start doing that kind of conversation. It's always good to activate a customer. And how do you do that? you touch base telling this customer, sometimes they need to be prompted. So a simple email can start a conversation. So your best bet is to tell the customer that, no, you pick these products from us. It's been a while. So you want to touch base to find out how you are doing with our products. If there are any feedback that we have to know, please tell us. And by the way, these are some of the products that are not that we have, or maybe the products that we have has been improved. So if you want us to start that conversation, we are prepared to do so. So that is one way to activate that kind of conversation. And also sometimes you want to pay what you call, mystery, you want to embark on what you call mystery shopping. You can find a way to touch base with this customer. If the person has a shop, go there and observe to find out where this customer, what the kind of products or services that this customer is offering. Are they part of your service menu or your product menu? If not, that will give you an indication that the customer might be picking up new products from somewhere. So perhaps, once again, you want to look at it, touch base with the customer and say, hey, what is happening? Is there any way we can support your business going forward? And what can we do to help you, to help you take you to the next level? Because we all need help. And these days, when we are talking about the COVID, we are all hard hit. So having that conversation is very important. And I don't want to overemphasize this. And B2B, you have to do that. Touching base, finding out how your customer is doing. One thing that we forget is that we don't touch base quite often. So anytime we get that email from that organization, oh, the guys are looking for business. That's why they are touching base. So for you to cement the relationship, it shouldn't take you a while to touch base with these folks. So anytime you touch base, they know that it's part of the convention. This is something that you do anyway. But if you don't do it quite often, anytime that email comes through, these guys, I know this is the time they want me to buy from them. So don't wait until there's the need for you to touch base. Touch base all the time to cement the relationship going forward. So Peter, I don't know whether I've been able to, express some few thoughts around this, but that is how you get this conversation going. It's so critical. Thank you for that question, Peter.
Okay, we have just 2 minutes left. So I saw 2 questions in the chat. Let us go there.
Sure. Could a business with similar margins on all of their products use dollar volume discounts to deal with this issue?
Could a business plan for a business with similar margins on all products use dollar volume discount to deal with this issue? If I'm understanding the questioner very well, could a business plan for a business with similar margins, so you're talking about competing firms, on all their products use dollar volume discounts to deal with this issue? I'm not getting the questioner very well, but I'll attempt, to, based on my understanding. So a business with similar margins on their products. So if you're competing with another firm and you have similar margins on your product, use dollar volume discounts to deal with this issue. I would have loved the questioner to maybe explain, the question better so that I can able to attempt to respond to it. I'm not sure whether the questioner would like to use the mic, if possible, so that I can really get what he's trying to articulate. I'm so sorry, but I don't think go ahead, please.
Yeah, I don't know if the person is still there. If you can raise hand, you can see you and allow you to clarify the question.
Yeah, hi, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Yeah, what I was thinking of was something like a hardware store where they got a lot of stuff, no big items, well, no really big items, but price your little items that you may come and that people will buy a little high, but give them a discount on the total bill as the volume of the sales go up on each sale. So you come in and pick up a screwdriver and you pay the full price. But if you pick up a whole tool set or something like that, you get a discount on because the volume, the dollar volume of that sale is higher. So you're discounting.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm getting at?
Yes. Let me attempt, to try to unpack, this issue. If you look at it from the marketing standpoint, discount is not, a strategy to build loyalty, right? And in fact, if I will advise that sales promotion, offering discount is part of what we call sales promotion in marketing communications. It is a tool to support some of the strategies that you have in place already. It shouldn't be a standalone tool to deploy. You don't build loyalty through discount. And so if you are thinking of having loyal customers, this is not an opportunity to attract them, but you use it as part of the menu that you have as a supporting agent to whatever strategy that you have for your customers. So if you try to use discount all the time, you're going to be experiencing unprofitable customers. Why? Because they will come in only the time you're providing the discount. So on your customer profile, you have customers that are picking from you once a year, and you get to find out these customers aren't profitable. Why? Because you are attracting them due to the discount. And we are all looking for deals. So I'll come in when you reduce your prices. So if you want to build a portfolio of loyal customers, stop thinking about discounting. Make sure you are able to articulate your value proposition clearly and the customer seeing value. And this should be one of the auxiliaries, tactics. In fact, it's not a strategy, it's a tactic, because you can change it anytime to support whatever marketing strategy that you have. I'm not sure whether I've been able to answer Harvey's question, but that should be the case. I will advise that don't rely on discounting to build your customer loyalty.
Thank you kindly.
Hello?
And the last question.
Go ahead.
As a small business owner, what are some of the effective ways to communicate changes in prices and product qualities to customers?
Yeah, so this customer is in two this question is in two prongs. It's about communication, right? And changes in your prices and also your product quality. So let's look at the prices first. Usually we have our price list. So whenever there are changes in your price list, you better communicate it as soon as possible. Don't wait. Whenever that decision is made, get it through to customers as soon as possible. And be very frank as to why you are changing the prices. So change here means you can come down or you can go up. But I'm talking about, when you taking it up, make sure that the customers are put in the known. It's not something that you want to hide. And so that whenever they come in, they figure out you've changed your price. Communicate that clearly. Use any platform that you have to communicate that price change. And do it one time. So that when people have questions, you deal with it at that particular point in time. Product quality. This is something that you want to spend some time to achieve because you need to meet that threshold when it comes to standard. Anytime a new version of the product is on the market, find a better way to communicate that. And it's always good. These days, your best bet is to use YouTube because this is a very good platform to demonstrate the essence of that quality you've added to the new product. So that demonstration is key. People want to see where we are and what has been added. That should be clearly. So use the videos to communicate that clearly. That this is what we used to have. Now I'm taking you to the next level. That is the best way to do that. And of course, it's not just about talking about it, but demonstrate it find a way to showcase that so that people can connect to whatever differences that you want to articulate going forward. I hope I've answered your question, Kenneth. If not, maybe you want to come back and I will try and I'll attempt to explain further.
All right. Thank you so much. I took note, Dr. Opoku, before I conclude, that is my last remark. You can react to that after. I took a lot of notes about the internal processes you insist on, where business may have an excellent product, but you're not successful in attracting profitable customers. You're attracting unprofitable customers. And I took note about the price sensitivity and the very competitive environment as well. Value, product quality, relation, product quality, product price, and communicated that effectively through internal processes to the market. That may be the key to attract the profitable ones and keep away the unprofitable ones. I don't know, I took note of that. And usually we're talking about marketing and we're neglecting the internal processes, particularly when I am in the context of a university. You know, you may be delivering good value and the market doesn't perceive it, you know. And
in that case, you have a problem with communication.
That's right.
Yeah, so that's a communication problem.
Yeah.
Marketing communications, of course. Yeah.
That's right. And then you're attracting just unprofitable ones instead of attracting the profitable ones. And I took note of that from your presentation as well. And
very good.
And I have a long page of questions for you, but it's time. I cannot ask you all those questions. So any last comments you want to make, and then before we conclude this?
Thanks very much for having me this time around, Berman University. Okay. I am proud. I'm proud of this institution, the students, and the alumni.
Thank you.
It's it's always my pleasure, to have the opportunity to interact, with this, wonderful institution. And I'm always at your service. Anywhere I can be of help to this institution, please do not hesitate to let me know. But one thing I would like to say is that, we make that institution, we make things happen. When we start conversations like this, that is how we build communities. We all get to hear that these are not in the textbook. We don't know why people don't talk about them, because it's a very sensitive topic and there's no one size fits all to this kind of problem. Sometimes you need to look at it from the big picture. You need to understand the nuances. So although I've shared with you some of these tools, but anytime you are attempting to deploy any of these, make sure you understand your own environment and take into consideration the dynamics of the situation. Like we are in the COVID era. Things have changed. Some of the textbook concepts and the theories might not be applicable right now. So, and that's why you're an entrepreneur. Sometimes you need to rely on your own intuition. And that's very critical. Sometimes the research will tell you that this is what you need to do. The CRM that you've invested in will tell you that this customer is not profitable. But you have to sit back as an entrepreneur, and that's why you have the mindset. Sit back, reflect on it, and see whether you are making a good move in that case. So research and all the systems that you have, the technology sometimes can get it wrong. So it depends on you as an individual to make those calls. And I know it's going to be tough calls, but my understanding is that maybe if you get it wrong the first time, you will take that opportunity to learn and get it better the next time around. So once again, thank you folks very much for having me this evening. And I pray that, you've all taken something out of this, conversation, and let's continue with this conversation outside this room, this online platform, and make sure that it gets into our classrooms and also in our communities and also in our policies going forward. Thank you very much, folks, once again.
Okay. So thank you very much again, everybody, for being here. You see, we have been attracting very profitable customers this afternoon. So I thank you all, and all the students who are here as well taking notes, and Harvey, who has been here asking questions, and Peter, and all of you participating in that with us, and we will announce that our next speaker presentation, and we will continue the series. And Dr. Opoku, again, thank you, and it's a pleasure to have you, a very seasoned businessman, professor, and researcher. You published out there as well, and to talk to us about this topic this afternoon. And I wish you all a very great evening, and see you next time around.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Peter.